children. I think it'd be, when do we have to sign it?
No, they've already sprayed.
It is now 6 p.m. on May 17, 2021, and we will call to order our regular meeting of the Bay City ISD Board of Trustees regular school board meeting. Pursuant to Governor Abbott's temporary suspension of open meetings laws issued on March 16, 2020, consistent with new state and local mandates on public health and social distancing, this regular meeting of the Bay City ISD Board of Trustees will be held in the boardroom at the Bay City Administration Building located at 527th Street. The meeting will be audible to the public at the link provided at the top of this notice. A quorum of the Board of Trustees will be in attendance in the boardroom, and members of the public may attend the meeting in person, subject to the following health and safety precautions. It is recommended that all attendees wear face coverings, and attendees must socially distance minimum 6 feet between each person not living in the same household. If you wish to have submitted comments for review by the Board of Trustees regarding any agenda item for this meeting, those would need to have been submitted by 5 p.m. Today, and they would have been shared with the board. Linda, did we have any emails come in? No. Okay. Additionally, anybody who wants to speak to the board on any item on this agenda or not on this agenda, there's a sign-up sheet out in the hallway, and so there's another minute or two if you want to go ahead and sign up for that, and we will get to those later on. Okay, we'll now stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. I've asked Trustee DeWitt to lead us in our prayer, Trustee Tennant to lead us in our pledge of allegiance.
We could bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come before you, Lord, right now in the name of Jesus. And Father, we just thank you for this time, Lord, that we get to come together. And we just thank you for everyone in attendance. Father, we just thank you for your guidance and your provision, Lord, for Bay City ISD. And Lord, we just ask that your angels be encamped around all of our schools, all of our homes, our means of travel, Lord. Lead us, guide us, direct us, and protect us. Watch over all of our children, our teachers, Lord God, all of our parents, all the administration, and everyone involved in the Bay City ISD family. We give you thanks, we give you honor, we give you praise for everything you do, for it's in Christ's name we pray. Everyone said amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a jam-packed and fun meeting today. So we're going to recognize a lot of people, but some of the first people we're going to recognize, we're going to be sad to see them go. And so we have Trustee Clepack and Trustee Nelson, who are, their term is over tonight, and we want to thank them and recognize their service this evening. So we'll start off with Coach. So this is presented to Coach. We're going to come out here and take a picture here in a second. But this is presented to Edward Nelson in appreciation for your years of service, of dedicated service. 2015 to 2021. So 6 solid, hard-working years. We thank you for your service. Coach has been he's been a big part of this community. I don't think you can go anywhere in this town and utter the words coach, and people don't know who you're talking about, and it's Coach Nelson. And I know the other coaches here, you thought we were talking about him, but Coach, I want to thank you for your hard work. And, I'd also like Dr. Scott and any other trustee that wants to say something nice about Coach, take a minute and thank him for his service. And we're never going to do these together because the personalities are too much to try to group these two men together, all that they've done for our city, so and our school district.
I will get back to my seat for my comments. As board president said, I want to thank Coach Nelson for his tireless service, not only on this board, but to this community as well. He's really a good mentor for me, coming in as a brand new superintendent here in Bay City ISD, giving me a lay of the land and just showing me how to be successful here in this, in the town and in the school district as well. Coach has dedicated the majority of his life to not only the school district, but to the community as well. His work on this board, his work in the school district has produced a lot of successful people. Coach, just want to say thank you, not only for working in the school district, but even once you stop working, you came back to volunteer because you care. So hats off to you. Thank you, Coach.
Okay. You want to?
Yeah, if I don't mind, Coach, I'd like to say something. You know, Coach Nelson, you know, he was my coach whenever I was in high school, and that was, you know, just a few years back. But anyway, you know, he meant a lot because he knew what winning was about. He knew the recipe for winning. He instilled that in us. And I know I speak for a lot of the student athletes and a lot of the even students and athletes that were taught and were coached by Coach Nelson. I have a lot to say. And I'm just one person speaking from my point of view, but I just want to say, Coach Nelson, thank you for being a part of our lives and for what you do and how you coach and how you live your life. That's the impression. And, you know, I don't know where you stand on the coaching chart as far as wins. Where do you stand, Coach, in the state of Texas? Top 10. You know, top 10. And, but I'm going to say the #1 dresser of coaches. In my opinion, you know, we're in the top 10 of winningest coaches in high school, Texas high school basketball. But #1 in our hearts, Coach. We appreciate you.
Okay. Next, we have presented to Robert J. Clepack in appreciation for your years of dedicated service, 2012 to 2021, affectionately known as Bob. Bob served, trustee Cleveback served our board for 9 years. He served in leadership. He was the president of this board, and he led this board through a lot of different accomplishments. A bond project that took many years and a lot of hard work and dedication for his team. Hired a superintendent, got the district through the construction projects, and made many improvements to the district in both athletics and academics. And so, Bob, thank you for everything that you've done. We'll come out here and get a picture, and then we'll open it up to the board members.
I have my signature blue jeans on.
All right.
Can I have a word?
Sure. Had to write it down. I'd like to thank the Black Cat community for allowing me to represent them for 3 terms. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve on the Board of Trustees. We accomplished a great deal in the last 9 years, particularly in the last 5. This is because we had good, smart people who worked together with respect and a sense of purpose for all students and employees and for all the right reasons. There are a lot of milestones and accomplishments, notably the construction of 3 new campuses, a baseball field, an athletic stadium, revisions to existing facilities, and upgrading our technological capabilities. We made campuses more safe by adding secure vestibules. We were fiscally responsible while giving our teachers and employees over 30% in pay increases over the last 9 years. And we hired Dr. Marshall Scott III as superintendent, whom under his leadership and the hard work of his team and teachers have brought the district out of its academic doldrums. I will miss being on this board, but I will not miss the sleepless nights I experienced as president for 4.5 years and in dealing with the pandemic. The coronavirus is here to stay, folks, and it's still killing people, even right here in Bay City, Texas. Taking a nonchalant approach to it is akin to a death wish. As a proud 1968 Bay City Black Cat graduate, I say thank you, I did my best, and I'm over and out.
So I'm not sure if you all know that the relationship between a board president and superintendent is almost like a marriage. It's the closest working relationship you have in this business. I've had a wonderful opportunity to not only work with Ms. Cleveback, but also learn from Ms. Cleveback as well. Coming in as someone who had never been a superintendent, wanting to change the world all in one day. I had to work closely with Bob so he could let me know the ins and outs and when to speed up and more importantly, when to slow down. But just the patience of working with a leader who knew the potential that this district had and that I had, who had patience enough with me to allow me to kind of actualize the vision that they had here in the district while all at the same time supporting where we were going. It was a challenging and still a challenging relationship, one of the best relationships I've had. in this business. Super supportive, super focused. But I just want to thank you, along with the other trustees who gave me an opportunity to lead here. We've done some good things. And I will tell you that this district is on its way to being great because of the foundation that was laid by the hiring board and also the hard work of the teachers who were actually here. So Bob, don't delete my number. And I hope you will be just as supportive from a distance as you have been sitting on this board. I really appreciate it, and I'll tell you publicly that I love you.
Thank you for those kind words, Dr. Scott. You are the real deal. I just want everybody to know that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Then I said we give them a standing applause. Thank you guys. You can take your name tag. Linda told me those are yours. Keep. Oh, really? Yes, sir.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much. Okay, we got two empty seats. We got to fill them now. Item 4, oath of office. So now we will have Jill Westmoreland and Matt Murray come and take the center stage here, and you guys will be sworn in by Administrative Assistant Linda Trotter.
I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of school board trustee for the Bay City Independent School District of the state of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
You guys can take those 2 seats. Actually, we'd like to get the family up here and take pictures. In case you guys want to stay or go. Jill, you want to come out here with your family and take a picture? Just one piece of business, we all get paid the exact same. Okay, item 5, reorganization of the board of trustees. And so, just a point of order on the reorganization, I'll take nominations for president, I'll take nominations for vice president, I'll take nominations for secretary. And if we have more than one nomination on any position, then we'll have a motion and a vote. So we'll start with president. Are there any nominations for president? James Carter, me. I've been nominated. Are there any other nominations for president? Hearing none, is there a motion to be made? James Carter, motion's been made. James Carter, president. It's weird saying your own name. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee DeWitt. Is there any further conversation or any other nominations? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The motion passes. Are there any nominations for vice president? I will nominate Trent Timmons as vice president again. Are there any other nominations for vice president? I'll make a motion that Trent Timmons is the vice president. Is there a second to the motion? Seconded by trustee West. Any other further discussion? Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Congratulations, Trent. And treasurer, are there any nominations for treasurer of the board? Or secretary? Secretary, not treasurer. Sorry about that. Are there any nominations for secretary of the board? I'll nominate John DeWitt. Trustee DeWitt has been nominated for secretary of the board. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to be made? Make a motion that John DeWitt is the secretary. Trustee Tim has made a motion that trustee DeWitt is the secretary. Is there a second to his motion? Second. Seconded by trustee West. Is there any further discussion or any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to get down to business. And as always, we start with our favorite part of the meeting. So we only have one audience with patron, right, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, and so we have one audience with patrons, and so normally we would have public comments here, but we're going to move the patron to the agenda item that she's here to speak on. Okay, so we will move on to celebration with excellence, and this is our favorite part of the meeting, right? We get to recognize some of our best students academically, athletically, and all around. Happy to see the top 10 here tonight. It's awesome to get to put some faces to the names that we're going to see at graduation, and then just some standout athletes and incredible academic athletes at that. So it's doing very well in the classroom. So I might turn this over to Graham.
Good evening, everybody. This, like Mr. Powell said, this is really exciting. Got academic awards, got athletic awards, and Ms. Ray is going to help me start by presenting the top 10 students in the graduating class of 2021.
Good evening, and again, thank you for having us here tonight. This is the best part of my job. So thank you for allowing us an opportunity to serve our kids, and thank you for parents for always supporting us. I have two special awards tonight for valedictorian and salutatorian. Michael McMahon, if you can please come to the front. Michael McMahon has been valedictorian probably since he was in kindergarten. And Ramira Castellanos, she is her valedictorian. She is apologizing because she came from work. Apologize, I'm proud of you.
Let's get a picture with these fellows on the table and the whole top now.
He's not only smart, he's musically talented. If you went to senior serve, you had an evening full of great entertainment.
Tom, rotate this way over there.
Sorry.
I'm around.
Yay.
All right.
1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Next.
There you All right, now we got the rest of our top 10. You want to read the names?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Lila Lopez. Hayden Nunez. Sage Ryman. Pedro Vargas. Loaded right, I can have you doing the best tonight. Logan McClennan. Victoria Murillo. Hey, out. So when we surprised them, that they were the top 10, we went into a parade with lots of balloons, and we found them all in one class. That was so much fun. So they do all so much. I'm so proud of you, and I love you.
Hey, yeah, we want to just kind of come on. And go. Yeah, fill in behind.
Rebecca's winner.
Three. Okay, we're going to keep the party rolling with our academic and athletic awards here. We broke them down by sport, and we're going to start with baseball. And you just stood up, you can have to stand up again. But you can. Congratulations. Dave was a baseball academic all-state second team. That's pretty darn impressive. Y'all might as well stay standing. We got like more people. Oh, yeah, let's keep with it. You got the screen. Yeah, no. Yeah, I think you take it. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good idea, yeah. We also have a lot of track and field athletes to recognize. If I could get a word for, I know you used to be in first. We're going to start with our track and field athlete and golf state members. Second team, Eric. All right.
honorable mention, Victoria Rita. Academic All-State honorable mention, Malaysia Pat. Fast man in Bay City, Texas, the UIL 4A track silver medals in 100 meters and bronze in 200. Rod Turner.
So, I'm Coach Hood. I'm the boys track coach here at Bay City High School. So I have two athletes who just got honored. I'm going to start with Eric Rangino. He's academic College State. Eric, I asked him this year, I said, hey man, why don't you run track for me? He came out, he worked his tail off for us, but not near as hard as he works in the classroom. He ran the 400 relay, anything I asked him to do, he volunteered to run it. He was a great asset to our team. In the classroom, like I said, academic College State, I believe he has a scholarship to Texas A&M Kingsville, so he's going to be pursuing his degree there. So extremely proud of this young man right there. And this young man with the glasses, y'all, apparently everybody knows who he is, Bryce Turner. Like I said, fastest man in Bay City right now. He ran one time, he had what was the third fastest 200 meter in the nation this year, with 20.97 seconds. He ran a 10.49 in the 100 at the area meet. We go to state, he gets second in the 100, he gets third in the 200 after slipping the blocks. If he hadn't slipped in the blocks, I think if he had another 10 meters, he catches those and he gets first. The good news about it is he's just a sophomore. So we got 2 more years of this account. So I'm extremely proud of him. Thank all of y'all for supporting us this year.
So I'm the girls. My name's Jacob. I'm the girls' head track coach. I have 3 young ladies, Miss Haley Autobach, Victoria Rio, and Melissa stepped out. So all 3 of them this year got academic All-State, obviously. I'll start off with Haley. Haley was a pole. She's been a pole for 4 years. She's qualified for regionals every year. Having not had COVID last year, she qualified there again. She's also been a part of our volleyball, soccer teams, and our university cat teams. She's a part of HOSA, WIT, National Honor Society, National Technical Honor Society, and in the student council as well. Y'all just saw she was up here. She's top 10 in her class at number 10. So she spends a lot of time on her academics, but she spends a lot of time out on the field too. She is going to be attending Corpus Christi A&M. She's going to be pursuing a degree in nursing. Victoria, she's been a member of our cross-country team and track team for 4 years. She advanced to regionals twice for cross-country or track, and all 4 years in cross-country as a team and as an individual. She's always excelled in distance. She's been in the 800, the 1600, the 3200. You ask her to run anything, she'll run it. She's been on the 4x4 team. You know, she's really slow in the 400. Anything you ask her to do, she'll do it. And she says she hates me, but she lies. Y'all saw she was up here again, she was number 9 in her class. Again, she's somebody who spends a lot of extra time working out and doing extra things that she doesn't have to do. And nobody likes running 6 miles in the morning, but she does it. So, congratulations, ladies.
All right, I'm Coach Molinaro, better known as Coach Molly. I'm here to talk about my son, Caden. Caden and I got to Bay City High School together. Man, it's been emotional week. I'm not about to cry. But we came to Bay City High School together. There's just too much to say. I started writing a speech, it turned to page 2, and I had to toss it. Caden's been a catalyst on our baseball team for 4 years now. We had one hell of a time in JV when he was a freshman. Then we threw him to the fire as sophomores into varsity baseball. It's a big learning curve from JV to varsity. Not many people know that. The game speeds up, dudes throw a lot harder. Caden stayed the same height, but everybody else got taller. And what I can say about Caden, he played football for us for 4 years. The kid's tough as nails. I always gave him a hard time. He's the oldest of 5. I was the oldest of 5. I know what it's like to not get, beat up at home enough. So I made sure to take it upon myself to give Caden a hard time when he needed it. But man, he's such a good brother. He's a great kid. He's a phenomenal student athlete. Number 4 in his class. I asked him for all the scholarships that he had won, and I'm not saying all of them. He won't be paying for much, but just like to say thank you. I love you, dude, and I wish you the best. It's been a pleasure having you, and thank you to the New Nice family too.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not kidding when I say that that's absolutely our favorite part of every single meeting. It's because we get to meet the kids that make this district so successful. And to see the names on the list, I was excited to meet the top 10 tonight, but then they're also here for so many other things. And our athletes aren't just athletes. I mean, they're performing at an academic level. As a parent of 2 9-year-olds in this district, I'm excited that my kids are going to be growing up in the district and be a part of some of these coaches' programs as well, and part of this academic. So, one more round of applause, even though I think half of them left. Item 8, monthly bond project update. Our presenter is Christina Moreno, Freshman Associate. We have Christina on Zoom.
Yes, I'm here. Good evening to everyone. You should have received the project update. On the images, starting from the left and going up, the lowest one is the picture from the staircase towards the maker spaces, first and second floor. The process of the gym floor getting installed, the VCP wall mounted panels for the classroom corridors, progress on the dining room, and a bird's eye view of the building. During the last month, the ceiling week, got installed, reinforced and striping got completed, low voltage and cabling and intercoms got installed. The same with the metal panels on the exterior of the building and the few that are at the interior. The exterior sunshade devices that are over the windows on the classroom windows and science labs, those got completed, and the canopies as well. During this time, the ceiling tiles are still in the process of being installed. The case were complete. The access control, PT floor, and YouTube tie in. It's all in the process and should be completed within the next month. The contractor is planning to have the elevator inspection Friday. If that goes well, the elevator will be certified. If there's any issue, the inspector will be scheduled again for May 28th, the same day as they're planning to have the city do the walkthrough for the building to get a temporary certificate of occupation. That is it. And then on May 31st, the contractor is planning to start his punch list. And the substantial completion right now is scheduled for June 11th. For the new board members, I'm gonna explain a little bit more about the bars, the red, blue, and green bars on the side. Basically, those are tracking the project progress. The green one has the dates on it. Basically, right now is to the mid-May, which is around when this meeting is taking place. And it says there's 2 months left for project completion because the contract for construction has scheduled a substantial completion for August of this year. But the contractor is ahead of schedule, and that's why you'll see the green lower, but the cost and percentage higher. And then basically, yeah, at this point, we're 94% complete. Are there any questions? I can't hear you if you're saying anything. Okay, now I can.
The gas lines went in okay, there were no issues with the gas system?
Can you repeat that again?
Gas lines are in, Mr. Scarpa. The gas lines went in okay?
Yes, right now, sorry, I'm hearing that. The boilers are connected temporarily, so it's the humidity in the building. But once they correct the one issue they have left, which they expect would be this Wednesday, everything would be running up as it should. But the gas line was connected on schedule last month.
As far as all the rain that we accumulated over the past 2 or 3 weeks, and supposedly we're going to be getting more this week, is that putting a lot of stuff on the outside behind schedule?
Can you repeat that? Hear the beginning of it.
Repeat that. I'm sorry, I barely hear you.
The first portion of what you asked, I couldn't hear you.
Just how does it look as far as the exterior of the school? Because it looks like the interior is going really good, getting dried in, and you can work. But what about the exterior? How is this rain going to dampen or push back schedule of completion?
So Weaver and Jacobs had Lester, which is the site contractor, scheduled for this week, starting today to start putting topsoil and grading the site. Because of this rain, they're expecting that it will be delayed a week, but it's not affecting any of the progress outside. They are still expecting to be finished by June 11th, even with this delay in the site. After that, they will be seeding the soil and installing the exterior fence. But since the drives are installed, there hasn't been a big delay there.
has the diagnostics going on the AC? As far as making sure that the levels, the temperature levels are, adequate and where they're supposed to be?
So, different to the previous projects, we have had the commissioning firm doing visits during the construction progress, and they have been doing visits and creating reports with any issues they have seen that are being corrected by the contractor during the progress of construction. And once they installed the ceiling tiles, which they expected to be this Friday, I think it's the 21st. This week, the end of this week or mid next week, they should have all the ceiling tiles in place. And after that, they can start all the test and balance, which basically dictates if the HVAC units are producing the air that they should or not.
Hey Christine, this is Mark West. So the last couple of weeks, it looks like you've had a great functional test on our roof over there. Have y'all seen any issues with that, or is the roof holding up strong?
The roof was completed. The main portion of the roof was completed a few months ago, and there's two portions that don't have a coping parapet yet, but that got approved today, and we're going with an alternate design, a detail that is completely TDI approved, compliant, and it's for the protection of the district. But there hasn't been any big issues with leaks in the building. So yeah.
So there hasn't been any leaks in the building?
Oh, sorry. Let me increase the volume.
There hasn't been any leaks in the building?
No.
Does any board member have any questions or comments for Christina about Lenny Roberts? Christine, does that conclude your project update report?
Yes.
Okay, item 9, items of business, discussion and possible approval of the plaque in memory of Mrs. Lenny Roberts. And our presenter again will be Christina Marrero of Clayton Associates. But Christina, before we bring your presentation online, we're going to hear from Ms. Cheryl Roberts, who is a direct descendant of Ms. Lenny Roberts. And we want to hear her input into the plaque and the bio, in the picture, and anything else that she would like to say. So, Mrs. Roberts.
Stop, community members, and Christina. This is the first time I've been able to kind of see you in a different way. And I have to say, you've been doing a good job. My name is Cheryl Roberts Owens. I am the granddaughter of Lenny Roberts. And we take great pride, and we're honored that you all have helped this project come together. I have to tell you that. It just touches the Roberts family's hearts. And we can't wait to get to see it and to feel the presence of those precious children that my grandmother cared so much about in that environment. There are very few changes that we'd like to suggest. One thing is, and this has been going on for years and nobody knows where it came from. To my knowledge, to my family's knowledge, there has never been an E in my grandmother's name. That needs to go. My cousin and I researched this. I mean, we went with Ancestry and old documents and things of that nature. And I'm sure it's been there forever. But if we're going to correct things, that needs to be corrected. You can either use the M for McHenry, or just use the McHenry, the entirety of, her maiden name as her middle name. So that is the first thing that in all the years we really have to say, we need to catch. We also just have a preference for the portrait being used. I've seen some sketching and whatever else, and we have to tell you personally that will bother us. It doesn't seem as real as that portrait we feel of her. And it's such an honor to have this, happen for us in our years, because she didn't know this. But I think in honoring her appropriately, just as she was on that portrait, would really speak to who she was. I remember when I used to walk in there, I just would say, that's my mom. And it made her real to me. And that's just kind of the way we're thinking. If you all had another place that you wanted to do a sketching, I saw the picture of a mural, okay? You all have a mural, something thing. Am I wrong? Okay, well, maybe not. Okay, but as far as the picture, we prefer the picture. And if you change your mind, you got to talk to me, because okay. There's just a few changes in the bio that we thought about, and there were two things that we thought perhaps needed to be changed. In paragraph 5, to say Mrs. Roberts' legacy of humanitarianism and love endures today and remains an inspiration to the entire Bay City ISD community. And paragraph 6, today, if she could speak to our students and the young educators, she would say and use the quotes.
Sir, can you repeat the request for paragraph 5?
I'm sorry.
Can you repeat the request for paragraph 5?
Oh, for paragraph 5, yes. Mrs. Roberts' legacy of humanitarianism and love endures today and remains an inspiration to the entire Bay City ISD community. I made copies for you all, and I brought them, so it was a struggle to hand them to you. So other than that, I mean, it's just the picture and her bio. Those were the things that you wanted to personally put in there as reminders of her.
So just as a point of clarification, you're okay with
The
abbreviated
modified
bio
version, we're okay
with those revisions?
with just making these additions to those two paragraphs. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, then we will open discussion and possible approval of a plaque in memory of Mrs. Lenny Roberts. And Christina, I think you sent us a whole bunch of stuff. Are you prepared to go over this?
Yes. Linda's handing them out, I believe. But there's a packet and can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Not sure. And on the second page, you'll see what is existing at the current Lenny Roberts. And you can see the size of the image and the plaque that's there and what is proposed and the size of what is proposed. The third page is the original bio versus the modified, so you can have them next to each other. The next one would be what we're proposing for, it's the graphic for the media center, and that right now it's where we're keeping the quote, and the graphics will change slightly. This is just a placeholder, but we're still working on this graphic, and once it's finalized, it will be sent out for review. And then you'll get an example. Next 2 pages will be an example of how the plaque will look if you go with the modified bio or the complete bio. And then next to that, it's the locations that we're proposing. The bad news here is today while I was inside, the second location we're proposing, there's actually a few switches for the fire alarm. So right now that's not going to be a possibility. We can look at for another one. But basically what we're thinking is putting the plaque, the 2x3 plaque, the mock-up is right behind you. The actual size. It's right there. If you want to look, that is the actual size, the 2x3. And we're thinking that right under a mural that we have on the wall that will say Leanie Roberts, very big. It's an 18 feet by 24 feet big mural. And yeah, that's basically the packet. But I wanted to give you a mock-up of how it will look, because we feel that size, it's big, but it will go with the design and it will look like it's meant to be there, like perfectly planned. The other option we would think is going 3 feet by 4 feet, basically increasing in the size of the tile. Those tiles on that wall are 12 inches by 12 inches. But yeah. If you have any questions regarding that.
Are there any questions for Christina before we have 6 items here that we need to deliberate on and approve tonight. So are there any comments or questions before we take them, and we'll take them one at a time.
Okay, James, what do you understand? So right under
I do have a question. Where is the mural going to be located in the school? Is it on the wall that you're walking down the hallway towards, or is it right when you walk in the front doors?
So there's a vestibule, and whenever you get inside the vestibule, there's gonna be 2 doors to the left, right on the other side of those doors, flag, and the mural.
Okay, so right when you walk in will be the mural with
Well,
the
you gotta
flag.
get through the vestibule.
Well, yes, go
Right,
through it,
right,
right.
whenever you get into the main
Right.
building. That's my understanding, is that right, Christine?
Yeah, that's correct. So basically, option 2 was to do it in the vestibule. But the space is a little bit crowded in there because you have all the security and fire alarm systems and panels. Well, some of them, the ones that can be outside, are outside in that vestibule. And basically the next option would be in that main corridor, and it would be opposite to the entrance to the administration office.
That Lenny Roberts mural, is that a mural of Miss Lenny Roberts, or is that just a mural of like some kids, and what is that mural?
It's very simple. It says Leanie Roberts, and it's in the school colors, the school that we have used for the school, the colors that we have used for the schools, the green, blue, and yellow. And it says Leanie Roberts very big. No kids drawn or anything. It's very simple, but it's very big and it looks very cute.
my only
be that, and then Liz Roberts really big as the mural, so. And that's a pretty big plaque to get lost.
That's pretty close to the height of where it's gonna be.
Right.
Now, last time when we talked at the last meeting, originally, it was almost gonna be half of that. It was gonna be significantly smaller, and that's what we said we wanted to do, is we wanted a real life picture. We didn't want it to look mechanical or sketched or etched or anything like that. We wanted the personality of Ms. Lindy Roberts to come out at the school, along with the bio that was, of course, approved by the family. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now, maybe I am a bit confused. Where is this supposed to be? The school's named after her. And where is this supposed to be to greet everyone who comes to the school? I don't want it minimized on some mural, hardly minimized on some mural. It takes away from who she is.
My sentence exactly. This mural, and she's underneath, it takes away. To me, it takes away. When you walk into Lily Roberts right now, the first thing you see is that. And now you walk into this, the first thing you see is this mural, and she's down here. It takes away.
well, I think the reason why it takes away, and the reason why it's set up like that, Priscilla, is because of the safety atmosphere that we have to have in the vestibule.
Yes,
And so, but once you go through the vestibule, because if we see, that's why they said option 2 right here was whenever they walk in. That was where the fire alarm and the safety measures were going to be at. That's why it can't be there. But once they walk in and get out of that security area, and they walk into the school, then they're greeted by a big mural that celebrates her saying, and then also celebrates a picture of her and her bio.
I remember Christina saying that.
Is this in the vestibule here at the current Lady Roberts, or is this in the school? It's in the vestibule area, is that to the right where the window's at?
And it's a design difference.
It's office area. Yeah.
It is the vestibule, but the vestibule at the current Lady Roberts is maybe twice as longer than the current one. It is bigger.
All right, this might be a silly question, but how hard is it to remove these fire things or whatever? What is it that's in the way in the vestibule now? Breakers?
It's the security panel that if there's an emergency, the fire marshal can walk in and control the fire alarm system, which is typical for every building.
Right.
And you have the fire sprinkler switch too. And the fire extinguisher is after the main doors.
How difficult is that to move? Just a question.
So Christina, can you hear me?
Yeah.
What's the first available space once you actually get into the building? Not into the safety vestibule, not there, but once you get into the school proper and where the kids will have an opportunity to run around, teachers and everyone, when you enter the school, what's the first available place to put the plaque?
Where it's located, where it's shown on that elevation. Because you have, when you walk in the main corridor, you have the vestibule. To your right, you're gonna have the window to talk with the receptionist. Then you pass that second pair of windows, and to your left, you're gonna have the doors to the stairs. To your right, you're gonna have the entrance to the administration offices. After that, basically, it's the entrance to the first grade wing, classroom wing, and right after those doors, that's locating the plaque right now. And there's gonna be basically, that's the main entrance. So most of your traffic will be there.
Okay, so my question to trustee Robinson and to the family is it because of the height of the plaque at this time? Or is it,
I don't see if you're gonna do a mural that just says, what is it gonna say, Lady Roberts on where is it going? This is supposed to be her picture and her bio at this small size down here.
It'll be that size.
At that size. And then what's on this mural now?
I don't know if you can see
Is-
this.
It's just right here, different on that.
it's just a name? No, it's,
But why do you go make a mural? It's not that, it's that. It's bigger than the person, the school is named after.
Okay, can I clarify? The mural will only say Lady Roberts. It's not gonna have anything else.
No, she said,
No, that's the Lady Roberts.
she's just gonna say.
Why can't her picture be on there?
Where's
She
the,
is Lady Roberts.
The mural just says Lady Roberts. That graphic is gonna be the media center,
so Christine, a quick question.
I believe.
That's.
What if you cut 3 feet off of the width of the mural and then raise the picture up 2 feet?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
Mural down by 3 feet and then you elevate the actual picture so it's on the side of the mural versus below it.
If we were to do that, we would need the plaques. And right now, we're trying to paint the plaque with the bio as one thing. I don't know exactly. I don't know exactly what's what. I mean, it's the picture wanted to be part of the mural. It's just the word Lady Roberts and people dots.
Okay, Dr. Scott has a suggestion, Dr. Scott, can you repeat it for everybody about?
Never mind. I mean, actually, I was probably looking at this as though I was walking by, because you gotta be mindful, I'm 6'3", but the kids who are gonna be in the building who may wanna read this part as one. So it has to be some accommodations for whoever may go by to be able to see. As well, I don't know if we're anticipating kids looking up and reading, because where it is right now. I mean, the top of it is at 5 feet.
Right.
So you're probably looking at something like right here to read.
Right. And these are first and second grade.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the first one.
As far as the first and second grade. Okay. So maybe we can clarify what is preferred, what is the issue here, and then the mural just says Lenny Roberts. I mean, it's just words on the wall.
Yes.
On the wall, right? Okay. And then the plaque is underneath that, so I don't know that, I mean, I don't know that would take away from the plaque if it just said Lenny Roberts on the wall in words, and the plaque was there, and it's pretty big, but
Why can't the picture be in the middle?
too high.
So I'm wondering if,
For the little,
So
for
they
the
don't want
children,
to see it.
or maybe center it then. And that mural makes no sense to me. It just having colors and the name. This is a person. The school's named after a person. It's not Bay City High School.
Well, Ms. Roberts, with all due respect.
Trustee Westmoreland.
Yeah.
may I make a question, may I ask a question and possibly for clarification? I think the word mural, for me at least, means a picture. So it's not a picture, it is simply going to be the name of the school, Lenny Roberts, and then underneath that is going to be the plaque. So a mural, it's not really going to be a mural. It's going to be the name of the school, and then under that's gonna be the big plaque directly underneath. The mural is gonna be in the media center on the second floor.
Okay, yeah.
So is
there any way I can see this? I'm a visual person. That would help me. You're talking all over my head when I've never been in the school.
Christina, can you,
And then you're making me uncomfortable because I'm gonna fight for that. For Lenny Roberts. I'm gonna fight for that. And, yeah, I'm more invested in Lenny Roberts. Ms. Wendell, where are you? I'm more invested in Lenny Roberts than by my mouth. I write my checks to there, as she can tell you. I want this to succeed. This isn't about me. My name is not Lenny Roberts. But that honor was bestowed upon my grandmother. And, you know, I was here a couple of years ago, not too happy with some things, and that's water under the bridge now. But somehow I feel that the family needs to be included in the decisions made about our ancestor, especially if we would even pay to have something done to our satisfaction, if we had to. And just people who didn't even know her, making decisions about her and how to honor her, and weren't around when the name was decided upon, is a little offensive to me. And it makes me uncomfortable with allowing people to just say, okay, this is what we're gonna do it. And I think you feel that way if you were in our shoes. I think you would. Now, I'm not trying to be difficult. All I'm asking is for a chance to look. And then I can report to my family members what I've seen. But this is talking in abstractions to me because of the way I need to visualize things to tell them. When you say a mural, that's what I was thinking that you said. And I was like, but it doesn't need to be a mural about anything else that So I would appreciate that courtesy. I really would. I'm here all the time. If I could just get I don't have to see the whole school, just let me see where this is.
Christina, can you do like a realistic mock-up of what that wall's gonna look like, so we can get that word mural out of our head and just see the Lenny Roberts name with the plaque as the focus? Is there a way to?
I don't know if I have that right now. What I have is another elevation. I can do an elevation. We're calling it mural because of the size. And it's for terms of this, on our plans, it's called a graphic. But let me see if I can have, we wanted to keep the graphic part of the Lenny Roberts portion. We wanted to keep it a surprise. It could be an element that would be like a surprise when you walked in the building. But let me see.
And to Ms. Owen's point, looking at this diagram, it just looks like you've got this huge mural that takes up the entire hallway, and then there's this tiny little plaque in the corner. And we know it's not tiny because we can see it. It's a pretty good size, but this just doesn't do it justice, I guess.
Dr. Scott, trustees, and she said she's here every day. Is it not possible just for her to go and see it, somehow put her eyes on the exact place that this is going to be? I mean, is that not possible, Dr. Scott? Can she go?
Okay, so a visit or a walkthrough can be scheduled. I can talk to the teacher, and if you go to the school, the new school, they'll have hard hats that show you that area. You're not gonna see any graphics that are really in there because it's all construction still, and the plaque, it's not approved yet. So I don't know if you just want to see the space and how big it is. Then yeah, a visit can be scheduled for you tomorrow morning if you wanted to.
Christina, can we also get, like a mock-up of this big area where it's gonna say Linda Roberts, just to kind of get a visual of what, that way she can see it on paper and then be looking at the wall at the same time.
So I have something, I'm gonna try and email. It's computer graphics. It's not a full render. It's what we're using for getting the graphics printed. But hopefully it helps with the image of what that graphic of Lenny Roberts graphic will be. I'll send it to Linda right now so you can have it.
Oh, because it's not my money.
If it's done right, it pays homage to the kids.
I'll put a little depth to it, and put a little light under it, and a little curve in the wall, and your eyes will be drawn to that instead of the wall will be drawn to that. I don't know how thick the walls are, if they're 5/8" studs, but if they're 6" have a little room to go with that. Again, it's not my money. It's something else.
Well, I would say at this point, I'm in favor of tabling the location of the plaque to a future meeting, so we can schedule a visit, take a look at it.
It doesn't sound like the location is that for today.
Well,
It didn't sound like.
the location relative to the size of the mural, you know, but we could go look at it. As to Dr. Scott's point, if nothing was on the wall, and it was just this plaque, which was somehow highlighted with either lighting or depth, then that is the only thing you're looking at, and it's a pretty good size, especially for kids walking by, and that's about the size of a first grader if you turn it sideways. But if we can see the location and bring that thing and put it on the wall, kind of visualize it, I think that everybody would feel a lot better about it, right?
Okay. I just sent an elevation of what that graphic looks like, the Lenny Roberts one. And I also sent 2 images from today that I took of that wall. It's in perspective, looking from the back of the building towards the entry vestibule, but it would be that wall to the right when you open those pictures. I don't know how Linda will send them or show you, but I just sent them to her.
Can we get it to somebody who has access to this computer on the screen?
Yeah, William, can I forward this email to you with some images? Could you share it?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that now.
Okay, while we wait on that, we'll go back to that in a second. Item 2 on the comments of things to be discussed is the longer modified bio. And I believe that we heard that the modified bio is a couple of revisions. And so if that pleases the board and if that's acceptable to everybody in the family, we can at least get that item done. So is there any discussion on that? And are there any
If for
motions?
some reason we end up making this way bigger than that, then would we want the non-modified version just to fill up some of the real estate? Yeah.
I don't have any problem as long as the word is that additional word, or sharing, as long as the extended version would be.
Share the first one she said.
Okay, so then we pass that.
Nate, what?
Next motion to approve the modified wording for the St. Robert School.
With the addition.
Yeah, with the corrections made tonight.
Okay, so a motion's been made by trustee West to approve the bio as the modified bio, with the revisions suggested by the family, Ms. Cheryl Roberts Owens. Is there a second to his motion? Motion's been seconded by trustee Tim. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. The motion passes 7-0.
Mr. Scardamai,
Yes, ma'am.
he's ready to share. He has 3
Okay.
images. We're not sure which one Christina wanted him to share.
Bring them all up.
Okay, here's the first one.
So that wall to your right, that white wall, that is graphic logo. And William, if you show the one that says Lenny Roberts, that one, then that's the graphic. It's similar to what got installed at Teeny Homes during spring break.
Not to use that. I say we just make that big and bring this black size and put it on the wall, and at this point, I don't think anybody wants that on the wall. So, Dr. Guy, yes,
I mean, if you're actually gonna put something on the wall, it should be a mural. It should be a picture, maybe kids playing or something. Having Ms. Roberts' namesake up here, and I mean, it's probably gonna be early childhood colors with bouncing around. That's not okay. I know it's the board's decision, but that's absolutely not a recommendation that I would make, because it just doesn't, in my opinion, it just doesn't give the name. And I don't care how we make it, what kind of font you put the letters in, it's not going to, in my opinion, be representative of the professionalism and the respect that will go along with having this building as a namesake. And again, I always say if you want a picture of kids playing and all of those things, that's one thing. But to put someone's name up in, it's my opinion, I don't think it works.
Is this something that has to be decided what goes on that wall now, or can we wait till we are in the building? Is that something, I mean,
Christina, logistically, I mean, you're just painting on a wall. Logistically, we don't have to decide if mural's going up right now, right?
Well, if you don't want it, then we'll have to go through a whole redesign process. That was part of the original design. And it was meant to match what got done at Teeny Homes. But if you don't want it, then we can just remove it. But yeah, I mean,
There already?
what do you prefer?
Well, nothing right now, not that.
Okay.
Is it there already?
No.
No. We'd just like to go look at the space. Okay, so, item one, plaque size, I mean, the trustee West Point, we're gonna skip that one until we get to the visit. Item two, biography, we've already decided. Item three, if long biography is selected, confirm the information, and so long biography was not selected, so we can skip three. Four, location, we're gonna skip that one until we visit. Five, the quote by Mrs. Roberts to remain in the plaque or to be removed. I don't know why we ever remove it. Media Center book sculpture will have the quote. Refer to page 7 of the document.
Which is this.
Yes, so
I think-
both places or just there?
I think it needs to remain in both places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because one's on the first floor, one's on the second floor, correct?
Yes, correct.
Mrs. Owens, is that acceptable and pleasable to you to have the quote by Mrs. Roberts in both the media center and on the plaque, correct?
Yes.
Is there any further discussion on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
How big is this? Is this on a wall of a library or something?
In the media center, yeah, the library.
Instead of the tree, it'd be that.
Is there a motion to be made?
I make a motion to approve the mural to keep the quote just on that and on the plaque.
Okay, motion's been made by trustee Westmoreland to have the quote remain in the plaque and be in the media center mural as well. Is there a second for a motion? Second, motion is second by trustee Murray. Is there any further discussion on this item? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. Hearing no nays, the motion is approved 7-0. Upon discussion with the plaque manufacturer, they recommend the use of low relief image print to include the picture of Mrs. Roberts on the plaque. Longevity of image depends on UV exposure, angle, and temperature conditions. See example of a method below. Approval to use this method is required. Christina, do you want to kind of tell us what that is compared to a traditional portrait? And we've already ruled out etching at this point.
Because of the quality of the picture that we have, if there is any picture that has a better quality to what I have, would be great if we have it. But basically, to what they have right now, it's going to be like a typical picture printed on metal, but it's going to have some relief and some texture that will make it. I mean, the picture itself kind of provides for that texture to happen. But the manufacturer, looking at the quality of the image that we have and because the picture doesn't have much color, then they recommend that it's better if we go with the low relief, because it's the better to print images of lower quality. But as I said, if there's something better, we'll appreciate and we'll send back to the manufacturer and then ask for more recommendations. But the other options is the etching, and for that it needs to be drawn by hand completely, and it's a whole different process. And what they say for the longevity of the image depends on UV exposure, angle, and the temperature conditions. The plaque will not be exposed to sun at all. and the building will be conditioned. So the plaque and the picture with that technique will last, I mean, a while, a long time.
So are those the only two options, the low relief or the etch, or is there like another portrait type, or is it just, are we just talking one or the other?
They have other options, but the other options are basically more the metal color that the plaque will be, and they don't print color like the low relief.
This is what it would look like in our example.
The example is just a picture. Yeah, we don't have how it will look exactly, but the relief will be very slight. It's not noticeable, that big notice.
Christina, can you get us copies of both designs that you're speaking about of the actual picture?
I can request the picture and see if they can do something. Yeah, I'll update to see what I can find out for from the manufacturer directly.
Yeah, I like the board to see that and the family to be able to see it before we make a decision and then have to go back. So we can have samples of both of the different designs that you spoke about, and that'd be helpful.
Okay. My apologies.
Does any trustee have any additional questions for Christina at this time? So to confirm, we are tabling plaque size, plaque location, and photograph until we can see location and quality of photograph. And so, Cheryl, Mrs. Owens, thank you for taking the time out of your evening and coming to us with the family's desires and input. And I'll reach out to you here very soon to try to schedule a time where the two of us and maybe one or two additional board members, so long as we don't have a quorum, can take a field trip over there and look at the location and kind of get some eyes on it. So everybody can feel happy that we've honored Ms. Roberts' legacy, because although, as you stated, people who never knew her, or maybe most of us never knew her, we have to make this decision, and so it's only right that we include you. And so thank you again.
Thank you all for having me. I appreciate being able to dialogue with you. I'm available whenever you all get an opportunity. I do really better with what I can see, and instead of description. And if we need to invest some money in restoring that picture,
We appreciate it.
good night.
Thanks so much. Have a good evening and travel safe.
Thank you.
Okay, Christina, I think that's it. I think we're done with you for the night, right? Is that your last item?
Yep, that would be it.
Okay. Well, I hear a beautiful baby in the background that wants your attention, so.
Yeah, he wants to sleep, but he doesn't. Have a good night.
Bye now. Okay, items of business 9B, discuss possible solutions for providing a facility for swim team use. And our presenter tonight will be John DeWitt, and Trustee DeWitt asked that this be placed on the agenda item. Also in attendance is Coach Button. I don't need you to make a presentation, but we just want to maybe hear your thoughts. If we have any questions, we'll direct them towards you. And then also Roy Sneary is here this evening, and he's in charge of the Aquatic Center. And so if we have any questions about the Aquatic Center, we'll direct those questions towards you at that time as well, but we don't need a presentation at this time. We just kind of want to open this up for discussion, see where it goes, and there is no action here this evening. So, Trustee DeWitt.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to bring to the board's attention You know, it seems like we've been sweeping a problem under the rug, so to speak, and I don't want the school district to feel at the mercy of a third party or anything like that, because we don't have to go through a third party or anybody else for our football games, our soccer games, our baseball games, tennis, theater, nothing like that. So, you know, if we could, you know, I would like Dr. Scott to explore options for a new swimming venue. You know, if possible for the workshop, for the board to look over options for a new swimming venue, because this is on its last leg, and there's only so much that duct tape and spray paint can do, and this is past due, overdue, way past due, for our swimming pool there on, I believe it's 16th Street, is it? Yes, so, you know, I'd like to hear your thoughts from any trustee or, you know, Coach Button, on what we need to do.
I have a question. So, Coach, do we have a program at the junior high, or is our swim program started at the high school level?
Yes, we were able to add the junior high program due to COVID. The league that we were going to be a part of this year didn't take place, but we, in the UIL, restricted the heck out of this. We wanted to run our normal season concurrently, but we were restricted to where we couldn't run our junior high events between high school, kind of like what they did with cross country, where we couldn't run multiple levels at the same league. So we had to get our high school kids finished and out of the facility, then we could bring our junior high kids in and run time trials. When our high school season ended, luckily Tomball was able to start their season, so we went up there for a meeting with them. So we were able to cobble something together for our junior high kids. It wasn't ideal.
And the only reason I ask is if it's a high school only program, it doesn't make sense to have a facility over by the junior high, but if the program's in both places, that, you know, the kids will be going back and forth or something in between, if it were the Aquatic Center, which is located in between, so.
Can I ask what some of the issues, I guess, are with it? I mean, clearly it's all, I swear, what are some of the biggest roadblocks we think we got?
Well, I know there was a meeting with the city of Bay City, I think it was, help me, Coach Button, was it last year? Was it 2020 or was it 2019? That we had a meeting, a big powwow, about where the fund's gonna come to fix the pool. And, you know, we didn't know where to go, we didn't know what our swimmers were gonna do, because there was so much falling apart.
It's been going on for quite a while. Yeah.
And if you don't mind, if you could just kind of give like a little brief illustration or
Sure.
a description of what the problems are.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for putting this on the agenda. We're thankful that we have a facility to be in. It's on its last legs. It's been on its last legs. But the city allowed us to get back in just about this time last year because of the COVID crisis, and swimming's outdoors is about the safest thing to be in. So we were able to get back in. But I've been in Trustee DeWitt, Coach Strong, and I, we've done these build pool conferences with USA Swimming, and they've got a blueprint for us to the old model that we all grew up with for a swimming facility. That's out. The single pool, single temperature, programming it for competitive swimming only. That's done. We program a pool differently now to take care of adaptive PE, swim lessons, athletic programs of all kinds, not just the competitive swim teams. So we're looking at trying to do this for everybody. And the recreational component is a small part. It's great to have fun at the pool, and it is a fun thing, but we want to talk water safety and those things. So when the wellness folks came to me it's been about 5 years ago, that's where we were going. And that's where the city, and the hospital district, and the wellness people and us, we were talking about putting it right here on the campus. And then things just started to get out of hand. I think they call it Project Creep. And it started to balloon into this water park that turned into a $30 million project on someone else's land. And that's when I stepped in there. It just isn't something feasible to do. It's not gonna serve our community and our students. I'm trying to be nice about it, but it's not gonna serve our students and our community. So I think we need to go back to what we originally started with. Mr. Klepak was in on that. I think it was a great project to start with. We were going to put it right here, and then it got out of control.
So what are the current problems with the current pool on 16th Street? I mean, I know there's probably a list.
The impeller went out again last week. They put a new one in today, and we should be able to swing it in tomorrow. So yeah, it's just a, it's outlived. It's well beyond its normal life, and we're thankful that it's still alive, and the city is still helping us out. And our maintenance people have helped us out over the years too. They said, ISD kept that thing running for a long time. Our maintenance people were great.
Is that a city-owned pool or?
Now it is. Superintendent Brown ceded it back to the city, and we have a different. We don't have much control, and we don't have much say in how it's maintained.
You know, there's one thing I want to say real quick, and that's the fact that I went to that meeting at City Hall, and the reason why was because our swimmers, our students, were not able to swim. And correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, they were not able to swim because the pool was not functioning correctly, and it was supposedly, if I'm not mistaken, it was a hazard to be there.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, we got to a point where it was shut down due to gas line problems and heater problems, and the lights fell down. We couldn't host meetings. Yeah, we're to a point where we have to host meets early enough in the year before the time change, or else host them only on Saturdays. Yeah, we've gotten to a point where we're not able to do the things we used to be able to do. And your sister swam for us. We could do a whole lot more than we do now.
I swam over there, believe it or not, like my sister said, I swam like a whale. She said,
No, we've had big boys in there.
And to get back to the matter is that we should never have any of our student athletes and have to go swim somewhere else or not be able to participate in the sport that God gave them talents to participate in and compete in. And not only that, but the fact that it's used by the community. I know for a fact that my mom goes over there. She's gonna be celebrating her 75th birthday, and she goes for water aerobics. And she says she feels so much better. She feels phenomenal whenever she's doing that. And there's a lot of our citizens that do that. Go over there and black swim. They go over there and rehab after having surgery. They go do it themselves. And it's needful, and we need to put it on the table. We really need to discuss the options for a new swimming venue here at Christianity.
I'm almost ashamed to admit it, that Claire and I, our youngest boy, after his sophomore year, he realized that he wanted to be a big-time swimmer, and driving him to Angleton and Lake Jackson and El Campo all the time for practices to find water time wasn't getting it, and we flat out moved. And we wound up being state swimmer of the year for a high school up in Mansfield in 2010. That's who was on his bio when he swam at UT.
I could have been
His
here.
bio did not say Bay City, unfortunately, and I wish it had. I wish we would have been able to stay, but the water time was impossible for a kid with that ability. And it's a shame. We're Bay City people.
Since the Aquatic Center was mentioned, Lloyd, I want to give you a minute of time, and I also like you to answer a couple questions. So, swim time has been mentioned several times. In the Aquatic Center's plan, what is Bay City's role in that pool? Is it unfettered access like we need for PE and swimming and lessons and football, just to muscle relief? And I mean, it sounds like we have a really big need in a lot timeframe as far as completion of the facility, and I know we just had one of the worst years ever, so I know that probably doesn't help anything, but maybe just take a minute and loop us in.
Sure, thank you, James. So I'm here representing Wellness Matagorda County. It's the effort that, and we've made presentations here a couple of times to the trustees. Some of you are new, so you hadn't heard that presentation, at least not in this setting. And we've held about 5 other public meetings and invited Commissioners Court, the city, the city council, and the school board and the hospital district. And so we've made those presentations over the last year or so. So to your question, the thought of the aquatic center would encompass all of the things that, and John, you were talking about, water aerobics and those kind of things. So there's a wellness component part of it that would be a place for aquatherapy. The facility that we're looking at, that's a separate facility. Inside the facility is a separate pool for aquatics therapy and that kind of thing that would be going on at the same time. Student athletes and whether they're swimmers or not, both of my kids were swimmers. They both swam for Button. So whether there's competitive swimmers or other athletes, what we've learned throughout this whole process is that a lot of sports are realizing that swimming or being in the water can help with a lot of other sports, track and field and football. So that's a big component of it. I think to your question, and a question that I would ask if I were sitting up there at the table is, so where does Bay City ISD fit into this? Bay City ISD has been a charter member of Wellness Matagorda County from the time we started it 17 years ago, when our vision was to build a wellness center, which we now have over here by the hospital. The aquatic center was the next part of that. And so with Bay City ISD being the ISD that has been the charter member, excuse me, what we've said, and I think that you asked a similar question, James, at one of the meetings we had, it would be up to Bay City ISD to schedule the student athletes. And if there's other high schools in the county that could participate in that, and if there's lane time and opportunity to do that, that's been what we've been saying all along. So does that kind of answer the question you were looking for?
Yes, what I'm hearing is that Bay City wanted their football program to go 3 hours a day, once a week, and the swim program to go 1 hour once a day. They would schedule that and have the access that they need, correct?
Yes, and facilities, because we've traveled all around. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We've traveled all around. We've been to several facilities that do this, much larger communities than ours. But they've got ways to schedule all that so that everybody gets the amount of time in the water that they need. And the facility that we're talking about, incidentally, it's about a $21 million, not a $30 million facility. But that includes a lot of other things. One of the things, the big, what we think, one of the big positives about this is that it'll be the only facility like this in our region of the state, in a small community, in a small county like this. Jessica Russell's here, and I would like, if it's possible, to give her a little time. She's here representing Bay City Community Development Corporation, but we've also been working with the Commissioners Court County Judge, and Mike Ferdinand was our Economic Development Coordinator, Director, before he left to go to another state. And Jessica's been filling that role. We've been working with several of the industries here to help fund this thing. And I think you and I have talked about that, James. We've got some possibilities for some of the new companies that are looking to locate in Matagorda County to help us pay for that. Can I ask her she's the professional on that,
Yeah,
to explain how that works?
Presentations made, but if somebody has a question about, hey, Jessica, what does the funding look like and how much does this pool cost, then absolutely. And so
Was that your question?
I'll just ask that question, but
Thank you,
I'll
James.
also ask if in a comparison, does anybody know, Coach Button, have you ever had any experience with putting just a swim facility in a high school? And I'll let you go second, but Jessica, would be talking about the funding of a aquatic center and how that works with us.
Sure. Yes. So, just to piggyback on that, The fact that it has a water feature there to play in, that's the regional draw, and that's why economic and community development got involved in it as well. Not just for that, but the fact that it would bring people to our area. I guess I can take this off. The way we think about funding the majority of it is through a pilot program. That's a payment in lieu of taxes. It would have to go through Commissioners Court. We've had several positive conversations with the judge and commissioners. And basically, it would, if a company wants to come here and they wouldn't qualify based on several different things for a traditional tax abatement, they could look at doing a pilot and they could pay part of their taxes up front, and that money could be used for any project that the commissioners deem necessary, including roads, infrastructure, and projects such as this. So we would be attempting to have them fund it through pilot programs. And I'm happy to get you additional information on that. I just, that's the avenue we're pursuing.
So does that affect our 313 agreements then? I mean,
No, it's
so we
completely
still get
different.
Anything that comes through 313, it's just they have additional payment in lieu of taxes.
Right, instead of going for a traditional tax abatement through the county, this is just another way of incentivizing them or having them come to Matagorda County.
So long-term, Jessica, is that a plan? I mean, a pool is not just an upfront cost, there's a long haul for a pool. So the pilot program, if we do not continue to have big businesses coming in to fund that pool, then.
Well, this would be for, I'm speaking just on the 21 million to build it, not on its future economics, but that's more of what he can speak to. I'm just saying how we would fund it to get it here.
Coach Button, have you ever had experience putting a pool in?
Of course not. I'm a coach. I'm not a salesman. I'm not going to be able to sit here and
Well,
say.
they don't ask you, you're the professional.
I'm not.
Dr.
Of course
Scott,
I
have
haven't built a pool.
you ever been in the district and put a pool in?
Yes.
Maybe speak to the cost and upkeep.
I mean, it's been years ago, since that happened, but you're talking about apples and oranges in a sense. You're talking about fruit, but if you're talking about a swim facility for a school district and it's going to be used by the school district and it functions there, then that's one thing, and it's gonna be one cost. Now you're talking about a partnership with all these other entities to where it's going to be run and managed differently. It's not, you're not comparing the same thing. So what I would like to do is do my due diligence, as Trustee DeWitt actually said, and work alongside Coach Button for us to go out and actually just say, how much would it cost for Bay City ISD to build a swimming facility on its own? There's nothing wrong with having that information.
No, I think United States Swimming,
I think
provides
that's
us
what
with
we actually have to do.
Yes.
And I mean, the board at that point would have, you have all of the options for your kids and for the school district, and then you can make an informed decision about whether or not you want to go forward on your own, or you still want to be a part of this, this collaboration with the other entities in the area. There's nothing wrong with having information.
I think it's responsible for that also.
Absolutely. And just for the record, I just want to say one thing. I just want to say that, I guess, that maybe for the past 5 years, we've been hearing about these projects. And I know, we're not talking about junction, we're not talking about thousands of dollars, we're talking about millions of dollars. But the one thing that I hate to see is the fact that Bay City ISD cannot move forward because we're having to wait on third parties and industry to fund what we need, what we should have already had here. So, I just want to say that I'm very much in support of us exploring other avenues of building a swimming pool here.
Coach Button, you and I put together and start exploring the cost of a facility for the district.
Yes, sir.
Lloyd and Jessica, I don't know which one of you would be better to answer this, but it's sounding like we're needing a facility sooner rather than later. At least construction starting, quickly from what they're saying the pool condition is. What kind of time frame are y'all still looking at for y'all's project?
Yeah, so Mark, I wished I had the answer that we know the date that it could get started. But what I will tell you is that the judge and Jessica and I have met with two of the companies that are looking to locate here. They're far enough along with those projects. We've asked, the judge has asked each one of them for $5 million each. And so that's almost halfway to where we need to get to be. What I would say, let me say this. I don't want this to be even perceived as something that we're on an opposite side of the efforts that Bay City ISD and Coach Button are looking at. We're here to support, and I told you that, James, that, we're here to support the efforts of Bay City ISD and the others that have other needs here for a facility like this. And Wellness Matagorda County is going to do that. What I would say is that I think it's good for you to, and John, I think it's a good idea to take a look at what the cost of just, a high school facility would be. That's a logical thing for you guys to do. I would also say, or request that you keep your minds open because we're continuing to work on getting the funding for this. We recognized about 1.5 years ago that getting the funding from those public entities was going to be a real stretch. Now that we've got some opportunities with some new companies in industry that's wanting to come into the county, to tell them, if you're going to come to our county, we want you to help us fund this thing. I would say, stick with us. If you decide that you come up after your research and you see this is what the school district can build and this is what the school district can afford, then we're going to be supportive of that. We don't want to be on opposite sides of this. I'm getting kind of a feel here that maybe, it's an us against them thing. We're here to support student athletes, and our number one goal is for every kid in Matagorda County to learn how to swim before they get out of the 3rd grade. We've said that from the very beginning. So we're here to support you. We're not on the other side of the fence on this thing.
Absolutely, I agree. Boy, I appreciate you sharing that sentiment. And one thing that I'm looking at right now is that we see how precious it is to get businesses and industries to come into Matagorda County, and especially right now during COVID, a lot of people want to keep their money in their back pocket. They don't want to spend money. They don't know what the future's going to hold and everything else. And so, I'm glad you brought that up when you said, we're on the same page, because we are. It's all about the community. It's all about the kids. And that's why I brought this up, because I don't know what's happening, but we need to pull the trigger on something, to do something for our school district, for our kids, and for our community.
John, my grandson is second generation of swimming in Bay City. He's 10 years old, Adams boy. And we got a call last week that the pool was shut down. The same thing Bud was talking about. That thing's been shut down almost more times than it's open. We've had that problem since you were in high school, and Shannon and Adam were in high school. It's been an ongoing problem. You're exactly right. Something's got to get done pretty quick.
And I think everybody wants the same thing. We want safety. We want our kids to learn to swim. We want a facility for our athletes. We want a facility that we can use. I think it's just a matter of time. It seems like we don't know the time frame, and we can't control that. And so, to Trent's point, the responsible thing to do is at least explore the other side as well, and then maybe come back together and have more discussions about it. So,
I would just request if y'all could kind of keep us in the loop, if that's okay. We're trying to keep you all apprised of what's going on, and we just want to work together with you.
I think myself, Trustee Tennant, and Trustee Clepack, who got recognized tonight and left, were the 3 board members, so we didn't have a quorum, but we're the 3 who were involved in that. And so we'll probably bring Trustee DeWitt in to the conversation, and
good.
Dr. Scott, Coach Button, and whoever on the board will explore the other side as well. So, Dr. Scott, you have your direction there, correct? Good. All right. Any trustees have any other comments or questions for either the gentleman or lady in the room? Okay. So we didn't have any action on that because it was a discuss item. We will move on to items of business. C. Approval of a resolution supporting the City of Bay City's application for the construction project of the Bay City Southern Pacific Trailway Shared Use SUP. funding through the Texas Department of Transportation's TxDOT 2021 Transportation Alternatives Program. Our presenter is Elizabeth Dillon with the City of Bay City. If you could step out away from the trustees, absolutely, and then be the presenter.
I would say, I'm sorry, I didn't really bring a presentation on here on my phone for a visual. I'll try to explain it.
You want to email that to Linda and get it put up on the screen?
Just want the email. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Dillon. I'm actually a graduate from Bay City High School, so thank you for having me. I'm the engineering technician for the Public Works Department of the city. We are submitting a application for a shared use path, a 10-foot wide concrete path to go on an old railway line right away. I don't know if anybody knows what that's like. Well, it's kind of like a levee that goes through town. It's between 12th Street and 8th Street blocks. Part of it's actually covered right now. It's in front of the junior high and a block over to. We're proposing to put this 10-foot wide path in from Cottonwood Avenue all the way to Moore Avenue, running east and west. And our hopes through this part right here, this is the first phase that we'll submit through TxDOT. I believe we submitted a similar project 2019 through a Safe Routes to School program through TxDOT, but it wasn't accepted. I believe it was because we couldn't go past the railroad. And so with this alternatives transportation program, we're submitting virtually the same project there. So that purple path y'all saw will go around to 12th Street over the railroad that way, since it's difficult to work with the railroad and it would take years to try to get a pedestrian bridge, but as long as I'm around to work on that. So I'm just here tonight to ask for some support because it's a criteria within the grant application for the funds that we need to build this. Any other questions?
I read the resolution over, so it doesn't sound like this costs us anything.
Right, I just need y'all's support, written support. We'll be going through TxDOT and we will get 100% match through these called transportation credits. So really, we're just getting 100% of the funds through TxDOT.
And then it'll be on the other side of the street behind the stadium, is that where it comes by the high school?
Yes, and then it runs out east behind, like next to the Highland Edition, or parallel to Old Van Glen Road. It goes all the way to past Van Glen, I'm not even sure where it goes that way. And then it goes all the way west, past the river and everything. And we plan to do, in the future, extend it all the way across Bay City. And then maybe in the future, we can get to maybe do a very big collective safe routes to school. We could connect Lyndon Roberts, is what we're talking about tonight, to this path, but that's very far into the future.
So it's 10-foot wide concrete, and so it's just pedestrian and bicycles and skateboards, or, I mean, what is?
I don't know if we'll allow skateboards.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes, for now, it's bicycles and pedestrians.
There's no way for vehicles to get on it.
No, there will be bollards each street section, so that vehicles can go on that.
The Broncos had something similar, and they connected all their city parks with one.
And
So you could
that's
go jog on them, and you could ride a bike on them.
part of the project, is just to connect the community in general. I'm approaching y'all because it could be potentially a safe route to school,
Right.
because it'll eventually connect all the community running east and west. And it'll connect a lot of major parts of town, so our, because Bay City has pretty heavy pedestrian traffic. So it would take these people hopefully off the main highways and put them on a safe route away from and connect everything.
How well lit would it be? Would it be lit up at night?
I was talking with the engineer, and I believe there'll be like 2 or 3 lights on each section or each block, so it'll be well lit. And it goes across 60, especially in this phase. It is unprotected, but we will have like a walkway with the lines signaling that. And there's going to be, so it'll go from Cottonwood and it'll go across the blocks and down into downtown kind of, and it'll cross Cottonwood Creek, and then run along the drainage ditch, that the concrete line that goes under all the way to the Colorado River. It'll be on top of that all the way to the river one day, hopefully. So I'm just right here for support, written support for our project, hopefully get accepted this time around.
Fantastic idea, sounds really great. Sounds like we need to give all our support to that. Now, there's here, when I see Southern Pacific Trailway, you said there's something to do with the railroad?
So the old railway right of way that owns the city, was the old, Southern Pacific Railway, so we're just gonna call it, I guess, their tributes to.
If you can put any word about them fixing those railroad tracks around town.
I would like everybody to relate to it, because that's how I do it.
That's great, thank you for presenting, that's really outstanding, thank you so much.
Any trustees have any other questions about the resolution? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution supporting the city of Bay City's application for construction project.
Motion's been made by trustee DeWitt for approval of the resolution supporting the city of Bay City's application for the construction of the project in Bay City Southern Pacific Trail Shared Use Path. Is there a second in the motion? I saw her hand, so I'll go trustee Westmoreland has seconded the motion for approval of the resolution. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Okay. Item of business 9D, approval of employment of personnel. And our presenter, as usual, is Ms. Lisa Volker, Chief of Human Resources.
Okay, the administration recommends the approval of the elections as presented in board vote.
Is there any individual that any trustee would like to discuss in executive session? Hearing none, is there a motion to be made?
I'll make a motion to approve the approval of employment of personnel.
Motion's been made by trustee DeWitt for the approval of employment of personnel as presented in board book. Is there a second to the motion? Second. Trustee Westmoreland seconded the motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing none, the motion passes 7-0. Okay, we're getting ready to need our closed session. Items of business 9E, closed session. Pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 and 551.074, deliberate regarding the evaluation and duties of a public officer or employee, including board member roles and responsibilities, and consult with legal counsel regarding the same. And pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, consult with an attorney regarding legal issues related to possible revisions to the Black Cat Blueprint, including possible updates to the mass requirement. So we will take both of these items in closed session together. We will not discuss school business related to the Black Cat Blueprint. We will only discuss the legal requirements in executive session, and then we will come out in open session and have a discussion. So that we can see our attorney and our attorney can see us. We're going to have that executive session here in this boardroom. So we would ask that. Go back, we're on that. He'll let me know.
Yeah, he'll let you know.
So just give us a couple minutes.
Yes.
Right.
Sir, we're back.
Good, okay, I'm waiting on Dr. Scott to come back later. Long meetings so far. We will now enter back into open session at 9:26. Items of business 9, letter F, open session, consider and take possible action to revise the Black Hat Blueprint, including possible update to the mask requirement. And so I'll open this up for conversation, and we'll start with Trent Tenen, and then any board member who wants to discuss, just chime in, and we'll be respectful and take comments one at a time.
So, I don't think it's a secret, about how I feel about the kids wearing masks. And now I feel like that with Governor Abbott lifting the mask, mandate, and then also, as far as everybody having the opportunity that wanted to get the vaccine, has had the opportunity to get the vaccine, just to basically open the discussion up, I believe that, as a district, we should make that decision to, I'm not sure about what date, but to lift the mask requirements as a school district.
I'll just add on, I mean, you mentioned this critical with date, right? And so I think there's been a lot of concern about these last 2 weeks, and I know that we don't want an exposure and a student to not be able to walk for graduation. So I would be comfortable with the last day of school, if we did something like that. But yeah, I mean, everybody who wanted to have the vaccine is able to have taken the vaccine, and the CDC now says that vaccinated people don't need to wear masks indoors or outdoors. And so certainly why you don't need to doesn't mean you shouldn't or should not, right? And I think it's a personal decision, and I think we just recommend it going forward after school's over. See what the summer brings. There's a lot less attendance, a lot more opportunity to social distance over the summer than there is during a regular school year. You kind of feel the summer out and see where we need to be. So I mean, those are my thoughts on it.
Totally agree. We are down to the wire. And I think our teachers and staff and all others, we need to grant them a little grace and mercy at this time. I think, we should let things just ride off now and leave them as they are. And let's just let it show it in the school, and we can come back. 28th, we can come back and visit and lift them, because everything is going in a good direction. It's just, but I agree with you. There are things we have our teachers have the opportunity to, get vaccinated and into the field. So I'm comfortable with maybe, here and lifting the mask mandate. We're coming back and revisiting and seeing what we need to do for the fall. We're saying, leave it to the end of, and that, I agree with what you're saying, but we're saying make it easier on the staff by leaving the mask mandate in place. Is that truly making it easier for them, or is that actually making it harder? Is my question.
He's asking if we leave the mask mandate on, take it off, how would it be easier for the staff to not have to basically police the kids wearing masks, or would it be easier for the staff to have them not to have a mask requirement? doing, trying to, hey, we masked up, hey, we masked up.
I think right now, in the school, just being a teacher, it's so hectic, y'all. I mean, it is crazy. If we say right now, if you know, no mask or whatever, and someone wants to wear a mask, I think it creates another headache, something else for them to have to deal with. I think if we even said no mask and give them the option on the 28th to wear it or not wear it, school is out. I mean, teachers can decide if you want to go to work with the mask or not the mask. But no kids on campus, and they don't have to worry about the kids being there. And we've already sent out the message that the safety precautions for graduation already. Do we want to go back and revisit that all over again? Do we want to have to deal with that all over again? I don't know. That's just my 2 cents. I mean, I just don't believe in keep going back and back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I mean, that's how. Did that answer your question, Matt?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, trustee.
Well, I mean, if you want my 2 cents, I mean, I just know that we need to go ahead and, remove the masks. I mean, we have the vaccination, I mean, adults, that the teachers are going to be vaccinated, adults have the vaccination. We have more info, we have more science, and to me,
I can learn to
it seems like
understand.
at this point that if, people wanted, it, they would wear masks all the time. I mean, they would, even after the governor said, hey, you don't have to wear it anymore, CDC said you don't have to wear it anymore, TA said you don't have to wear it anymore, it's optional, there would still be some people like, well, I still want to wear the mask, I still think I need to wear the mask. Well, so fine, so be it, I think we should wear the mask, but I think, as a board, that we should go ahead and just, leave the mask.
You have an opinion on the date?
ASAP.
Trustee Westmoreland, do you have anything to add?
Has anyone asked, I know at the beginning of the year when the mask discussion started, the teachers and staff were asked and polled, has anyone revisited that conversation with people that are on the campuses? Or are we just making a decision for it and saying that, oh, they'll be fine with it? Yes, I understand the mask. People want it, people don't. But I'm just simply, is there any questions that have been asked of people that are in the buildings?
Dr. Shaw, what is the most recent poll of the?
I haven't told the staff since we've actually started this, but I mean, you have 3 principals who actually lead, who are sitting here in the boardroom, if you want to hear from them, and how they feel about masking their staff. So, I mean, the board wouldn't have to make any assumptions. You have leaders who are here who can give you their professional opinions about what's happening in their buildings.
Love to hear from each of you what you're hearing in your building.
So I can say at the high school, the kids, the parents, everyone has been extremely compliant. There are times, and I'll say it's common sense, they're coming out of athletics, they're sweating, you can tell they're having a hard time breathing. I'm giving them some time before they enter the building. Catch your breath, make sure you put it back on. But you're able to see our kids, they're all amazing like that. Even if they forget it, and I would say, please put your mask back on. Or will you please do it for me? Something that really broke my heart, but yet showed me how amazing our kids are was prom. And I thought, how am I going to go on the floor and stop them and tell them to put your mask on? And, but yet I wanted them to have that experience. I wanted them to be happy, and I wanted them to do it. And Dr. Scott and I visited about what is that I can do to keep them safe, but yet give them that experience. And they were all so compliant. They were just wanting to have a good time. I hate the fact that they have to deal with masks, but I also know that anytime we have a change, it is hard to coach our teachers, so this is how we're going to do it now, or this is how we're going to change it, and it does make it difficult. What stresses me right now is that as of May 19th,
if any of my senior kids were to get sick, we will have to tell them they cannot walk, and that is the hardest thing that a high school principal can do. That's my 2 cents. Thank you for asking our opinion.
For our campus, at the beginning of the year, the survey was, what? It was 40, 40, 20. 40 wanted, 40 didn't, and 20 were indifferent. And I would say at this time, that's kind of still the reaction from my staff. The ones that never wanted it from the beginning are ready to ditch the mask. They've been ready since day one. And then those that have been vaccinated are ready to ditch it as well. But I don't know the percentage of my staff that's been vaccinated. That's not really been shared with me. So it's hard because our campus, I mean, we're passing out masks left and right. Our kids don't wear them properly. It's something that we've battled all year long. But at the same time, we're a week and a half away from being to the end of the school year. So it's a difficult decision to make. And at our campus, it's very hard to police, especially when our parents are coming in and refusing to wear them. We give out masks every single day to more parents than students. And so at our school, our kids have done a phenomenal job. Our staff, and kind of what Principal Wright just said, the ones that have been against it from day one are still the vocal ones. The ones that are for it are scared to speak out because the ones that go to different political versions, to say their side. It's the ones that, want to be safe, that have elder parents, they're elder themselves. And so, to me, I feel like we're almost there. Like, I just want to finish strong and keep my staff safe as long as will our students.
And this, sorry, it echoes really bad, so I apologize for the echoing if y'all hear it. But at Tenney Homes, I would say kind of along the same lines. For me, it falls into data. I had to do a contact tracing on 4 different positive cases just today. And if I were to have to send 2 teachers home with each of my positive cases, I would be out 8 teachers until the end of the school year because of the mask requirements, what our COVID procedures are. Our teachers, half of our teachers do still want to wear masks. That was part of the questions of them watching today's meeting was, are they going to lift the mandate? Some do want it and some do not. So again, it's just a personal thing with vaccinations, with masks. And at Tenney Homes, we kind of are seeing the same with the other campuses.
I know at the junior high, we're also seeing an increase of cases as well too, that we're having to call on and to trace of student positive cases. So that's something, we're still having staff that have to quarantine outside of school, but they still affect us, but being able to staff our classrooms and also with administrators as well too. But we have been steadily showing an increase in our student positive cases.
Campuses there, that's technology for you. Thank you, Jill, for asking that question.
I just think it's important that we do take into consideration the people that are on the ground in all of our decisions, and especially our seniors. We've been saying, and I know that y'all have been saying before I was even on the board, we want it to be normal for our seniors. We want it to be normal for our seniors. And if we were to lift before the end of the year with literally like we can see the end of the tunnel, and that senior isn't able to walk because of something that we did now is a ripple effect. Like, oh my gracious, what a devastation for that senior. Forget all the other stuff, like that's a big deal, is to be able to walk. And we've now opened it to where all of their family can be there, but now they can't walk if we do that. Just something to consider.
I'll just add a little anecdote here. You guys keep saying there's a week and a half left, and somebody said there was 9 days left. My wife says there's one more Monday. And my kids have calculated it a different way because the last week is all half days, so they know that there's 4 full days and 5 half days, and so that's actually 6.5 days. So to the point we're at the end, I mean, I know there's difference of opinions here. I know I went to senior serve on Saturday. That was pretty fun. The theme there was let's have fun but be safe, because these are our seniors and these are the seniors that could potentially be walking, and the exposure certainly where the risk is real, right? I mean, you could Have you had a chance to weigh in as much as you wanted to, or anybody else have any other comments?
I kind of agree with pretty much everything that's been said, you know, we can't leave the teachers out of it. I've personally just heard, you know, whenever I'm in the pickup line for the kids or whatever, that, you know, teachers will come by and be like, when can we take these off, you know? And I hear a lot of that, but it's good that we have the principals here because that apparently is the very vocal side of the, you know, mask. And I hear a lot from my senior of wanting to take them off, but at the same time, I know that she would be devastated if she couldn't walk, you know, and my little ones, man, I wish I had his cardiovascular system, because, I mean, he doesn't even know he has it half the time. Like, I'd have to tell him that when we're home alone, to drop it, you know, so, I think that, that it is lightening up, everybody has had a chance to vaccine, I think lightening of the policy is a good idea. I think I'm personally, to last day of school, let's make it optional, that train of thought.
So for me, it's more about giving parents or teachers that personal choice whether or not they want to wear that mask. We're not telling anybody they can't wear a mask. And even if it comes down to, you know, seniors, you know, if they know that risk, they might not get to walk, that's a risk that they'll have to take if the mask mandate requirements are lifted. You know, along with teachers, but, you know, to counter the argument of have we told teachers, well, we also need to consider parents as well, I mean, because parents also have a say in whether or not their child gets a mask. It's hard for me because I feel like now with the vaccines and with Governor Abbott making a decision, it's just for the school as a district, or basically as a district, to go above and beyond what's required. I feel like we're stepping over our boundaries, and I feel like people should have a choice. And I feel like we need to get that choice back.
I've said that from the very beginning, they should have a choice, and I've been doing kind of in our plans for a while. So, I mean, if the board wants to make it earlier than the 28th, I'm not gonna vote no to that. That's just, you know, what I was, whenever we came into this and I saw that on the agenda, that's what I was thinking originally, was last day of school. But, I mean, yeah, like I said, like, the seniors, you know, we're not telling anybody they can't wear them. You know, any teacher, any student, anybody. And I am ready for them to have that choice.
So, I mean, I wrote a little something, I'll read it just because I didn't want to, because I always forget what I want to say, and then after this meeting's over, I'm like, dang it, I should have said that. We are elected officials to be the governing body over this district. I believe it is our responsibility as a school board to partner with parents, not dictate when making decisions for their children, our students, on how to create the best educational experience for them. I am not a medical doctor, but there is study after study that shows there is no scientific evidence when it comes to the efficacy of masking, especially children. Actually, there are more and more studies coming out about the negative aspects of masking. Since masks are being used as medical devices, I believe that we have no right to require them for our students or our teachers. That is a decision that should be made between them, their parents, and their doctor. We don't even have to be the lead on this. There are many districts in the state of Texas that have already lifted or made statements about lifting all those requirements. It's time for Bay City ISD to do the same and give that right back to the parents.
Motion, Chairman.
Sure. I wrote it down for this. I make a motion to amend the Black Cat Blueprint to reflect that any and all mask mandate requiring masks to be worn to be removed, effective immediately. Also, it should reflect all items discussed in closed session. That last part.
Okay, so the motion has been made, let me make sure I get it right. All mentions of mask requirement
mentions. You would change them to, you know.
We change them to optional.
Optional.
Okay. So the motion is to change all required mask mentioned in the Black Hat Blueprint, we're gonna amend it, from required to optional in your effective date immediately. Is there a second to trustee Timmons' motion?
I'll second that.
Motion is seconded by trustee DeWitt. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I think everywhere it says it.
I do have a question for Mrs. Reyes, just in contact tracing and for your seniors specifically. So if the child is exposed to a kid without a mask on, would that also, even if they have a mask on, how does that work with them? And sorry, this is me, not.
No problem. That's a great question. If they are exposed to someone that has COVID, the parents have the choice to quarantine or send them back to school. While, the only reason they get to stay home, have to stay home, is if they, are sick with COVID. Or they have a family member in their household, I'm sorry.
What was that?
Or if they have a member in the household that is positive. So for example, if my husband is sick, my daughter will not be able to work. Thank you.
Okay, so they have a direct family member, or they have somebody in the household that tested positive, they can't walk, and if they test positive themselves, they can't walk, but if they just have contact with somebody, they can.
That is correct, yes.
So even if the student tests negative, they still wouldn't be able to walk? Like, let's say you said your husband.
Sure.
Like, if your husband had it, but then your daughter tested negative, would she be able to walk still?
As of right now, my daughter will not be able to be at any school activity.
So,
One other question I have, and this is me as being outside the conversation and now just being able to join, attending meetings and listening to meetings revolving just the mask discussion. I would like to know, does anyone know what the cost that we've used of school money and school funds around this conversation throughout the school year? Because I think that's a huge thing that could have been possibly given to some sort of educational purpose. Does anyone know that number that goes with this conversation and how much we have spent?
So if you're speaking for mask only, Linda, help me with this, and just for mask purposes only, not when we may have gotten some advisement with other things that have been part of the meeting. I think maybe $5,000 or $6,000. And those did not include, those are not student issues with masking, it's just the joint conversation and advisement with masking.
I have one question, that I thought of when you asked, Principal Reyes. Let's just say in this motion passes, let's just say you have a class, half decide to wear the mask, but it's optional, half decide not to. And one of the students who decided not to test positive. Do all of the students in that class who didn't wear a mask, are they required to go home and quarantine, or are they not allowed to walk?
That will be up to the parents. Only the person that is positive cannot
Not walk.
Correct.
Okay, so we're not exposing all of our other students to graduation not being able to walk if they didn't wear a mask.
If they're just exposed, no. Now, if they get sick, yes, they cannot.
I just feared that if it passed it, then there could be an issue there.
So the recommendation from CDC would be if a child is non-masked and they are positive for COVID, that any child within 6 foot of that child without a mask would quarantine. That would be the recommendation from CDC at this time. And another thing I think we really need to keep in mind is, I continually hear you all say that everyone's had the opportunity to be vaccinated. That is true for our adult population, but our population of students is 3,487, and we have about 10 kids that have been vaccinated. The rest of our population has not had the opportunity or will have the opportunity to be vaccinated until the end of the school year, possibly midsummer. I spoke to DHS today, and that was the information that I was given. So when will we get the vaccine for children? They did open it up for 12 to 17-year-olds, As of Wednesday, they should start releasing it. When does Texas expect to get it? We have no idea. DHS told me today that the expectation is probably midsummer for 12 to 17-year-olds. So I think it's really unfair for us to say everyone's had the opportunity to be vaccinated when our children have not. That's just, and if a child is, you know, if Stella has COVID and I'm sitting here without a mask, my job in this district is to protect the students in this district, and my job would be to send that student home.
Just to clarify, if an entire class is not wearing a mask and one student has COVID in that class, that entire class is not walking in graduation. Is that what you're saying?
Within 6 foot.
So
when
anyone
you're-
within
when
that
you're-
6-foot circle of them is not walking.
When we do contract tracing, just
Right.
to give you guys some information, I mean, we've been doing it, and I think that I have to say thank you all, because I think Bay City IC has done an excellent job of protecting our students and our families. But one of the things that we always do is we ask who's in front of you, who's behind you, who's to the left, who's to the right, who's right front diagonal, left, right back diagonal, left front diagonal, left back diagonal. That's our rectangle, and those are the kids that we're very seriously focused on. And if those kids don't have masks on and Johnny's sitting in the middle of them, those kids will need to go home.
We want to reconsider our motion.
Well, the motion on the table has been seconded, so we're gonna call for a vote. Unless trustee Tennant himself amends his own motion.
And I'll let it go through a vote, and then if it needs to be amended, we can do that.
Motion's been made by trustee Tennant to amend the Black Hat Blueprint to remove all requirements for wearing a mask, making it optional, the effective date being immediately. The motion was seconded by trustee DeWitt. All those in favor, you know what, I'm gonna do a voice vote. Trustee Robinson, yea or nay? Nay? Trustee West? Yes or no? I'll make it easy, instead of A or nay. Yes or no?
Say yes.
Trustee Tennant?
Yes.
I wrote it down. Trustee Scardma, this is trouble. This is a struggle. I'm gonna say no. Trustee DeWitt?
Yes.
Trustee Murray? I don't think I had to say it yet.
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Trustee Westmoreland? Motion passes 4-3.
So, Mr. President, before we leave.
We're not digging that one yet, we got the other, it's Black Hat Blueprint, but we're gonna talk about that, if you wanna talk about it.
Yeah, so one recommendation, that we just happened to catch on last week, that we had, one restriction that we had in the Black Hat Blueprint was that we wouldn't allow parents to take food to the campus to their kids. Or wouldn't allow any outside food on campuses, which really and truly didn't make any sense, as far as being fair. We had teachers who were going in and out of the building to get food. A kid could bring food from the outside as long as he or she bought that in the morning time. But if in fact I was a kid who forgot his or her lunch, then my parents couldn't take lunch up to the campus to me, while we still have adults going out to bring food back in, which really, it just really created an inequitable situation for our kids, and putting the limit on parents. So I would suggest that, if a kid didn't take their lunch kit in the morning and they forget it, I think the parents should have a right to be able to drop their food off to their kids during lunchtime. But some of our kids, many of our kids have meal restrictions and need special meals and cannot necessarily eat the cafeteria food. And for us to tell parents that they have to take the kid out of school just to give them the lunch that they forgot that they could have bought in the morning, it's just not logical. So I think that we should keep all of the other restrictions in place as far as that goes. We're not saying we let parents go in and start sitting at the table and that kind of stuff, but they definitely should be able to deliver food to their kids, in my opinion.
I agree.
I can't make a motion, so if one of you trustees.
Well, I'm gonna leave it open for conversation. Anybody have anything?
I'm with Dr. Scott, I didn't understand that from the beginning, I thought that was weird. I just felt that, you know, there was a team that put that together, and I just kept on telling myself, well, they had to put it in there for a reason. But hearing Dr. Scott talk, then I'm 100% behind taking that out of there, because that just does not make any sense.
And it's absolutely no fault of the building principal. Let me say, as central administration, that we had the final call on this, and quite often, 95% of the stuff that we send out is probably going to work, but 5% of things won't work until they're implemented at the campuses. And once this was brought to our attention, I had a discussion with the principals, and they've been thinking the same thing, they just hadn't had an opportunity to share it with us. So if we could remove that part of Black Hat full frame.
Mr. President, I'm going to make a motion to remove the restrictions from parents bringing food to the students.
Motion's been made by trustee DeWitt to remove from the Black Hat Blueprint the restrictions from parents bringing food to their child.
Yes.
Delivering food to their child, to the district, or to the campus.
Yes.
A second.
Motion's been made by trustee DeWitt, seconded by trustee West. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Hearing none, the motion passes 7-0.
Thank you all.
Absolutely, thank you.
I'm sure the parents thank us all, thank you all.
So this is a pretty wide open agenda item. Are there any other discussions around the Black Hat Blueprint? We will close item F. Item G. Approval of the consent agenda. 1, approval of the minutes of the previous meetings. A, regular board meeting, April 19, 2021. 2, approval of the April financial report. 3, review of the investment policy CDA local, other revenues, investments. 4, consider resolution approving independent sources of investment officer training and designation of investment officer. 5, approval of partnership agreement with Communities in Schools, 2021-2022. 6, approval of Region 3 contracted services. 7, approval for district to apply for federal funds. 8, approval of continuation of Children's Internet Protection Act, CIPA policy. 9, second reading of PCD local employment practices term contracts. 10, budget amendment number 2. Trustees, the items in the consent agenda are in your board book. Is there any item that any trustee would like to remove from the consent agenda?
I have a question about number 6, the approval of Region 3 contracted services.
Okay.
And conversations that I've had with people within the district before I was on the board, I was made aware that we use other regions outside of Region 3. And so I just would love to have a conversation about that and if Region 3 is the region that best serves our district and where we're going and where we are.
Okay. So that is a matter to be discussed at a future board meeting. And so Dr. Scott and Linda, can you, I'll email you or email me and we'll get the region contracted services put on the agenda. As far as the consent agenda, so is this for going forward or is this for the last year? Is this for next year or last year?
You're asking me.
Oh,
yeah, it's for
Contracted services?
This is for next year.
Yeah, this is for next.
It's for next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I need clarification on is the trustee's question.
Yeah.
Trustee Westmoreland, what are you charging the administration to go, what are we responding to?
So I would like to know with Region 3 and with other regions, I know we're using Region 13, when we're contracting with certain regions and we contract out, such as how we were doing for Region 13, do we pay a higher premium to contract out for those specific things rather than having it bunched in? And is there a region that we wouldn't have to contract out, that we could do everything under their umbrella?
May I answer that question, or do you want me to
You want
wait
to
until the
answer?
next?
You want to answer?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, what you see on the contracted services here, A lot of this is basic services. For example, I'm gonna give you the example of DMAC, which is our disaggregation system. That's a service that any region center offers, and it's a pretty standard price. Same thing with TEAC's resource system, TEAC's guide, route delivery. What is on this contract services is mainly support for our student data system, our curriculum. It's not so much professional development. You are correct, we have contracted with other region centers, whether it be Region 13 or Region 4 at times for some professional development services that our region does not provide. Actually, what we receive from Region 13 and Region 4 is actually a little bit cheaper than the price that Region 3 charges us for professional development. Does that adequately answer your question?
Would you like to remove this from the consent agenda?
That answers my
Okay,
question.
perfect. So, any other board member would like to remove from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to approve the approval of the consent agenda.
Trustee Timmons made a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second to his motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion been seconded by trustee DeWitt. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Item 10, Superintendent's Report, Dr. Scott.
The trustees, you will find in your board book the monthly statement from Plaquemine Associates. You will find the resignations as well. Communications, the baccalaureate services will take place on May 23rd, 2021 at 6 p.m. Principal Ray, is that in the auditorium?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we will see you there, board members, come on out, let's celebrate our scholars. Graduation, May 28th, 2021, will start at 8 p.m. The sun will be down by that time, so therefore those sitting on the west side of the stadium will get some relief. Hope everyone can come out and once again celebrate our graduates who have done an amazing job. I don't compare the other day all of the things they've actually gone through, from storms and snowstorms and all of other kind of things since they've been in high school. Just hats off to them. Hats off to the leadership at the high school as well. So we're going to invite you all as a board and the community to come out and celebrate our graduates this year. Mr. President, that concludes my comments for this evening.
And then just so before we adjourn, I'd just love to say, I love celebrating our students. It's awesome to see them out in the community. It's awesome to see them involved. Anytime you get a chance to interact with our students out in public, they work, they come here to get recognitions, they're at senior serve, they're singing there, they're coming here to get 2 or 3 certificates at a time. I mean, we've got some fantastic students, and that's been some fantastic teachers, administrators, and this board that tries to keep the students always first in their hearts. And so if there's any other final comments, speak now for everyone your piece. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion been made by trustee Lewis. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Motion been seconded by trustee Murray. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes 7-0. Have a good evening.